Hi there, everybody, and welcome to the Toon Review. On today's show, some very interesting comments from Callum Wilson explaining his injury last week. Of course, he missed the game against Bournemouth, and on current form as well. Does he think Newcastle have got what it takes to start winning games again? We've got some player links again. Of course, this is always going to happen with Newcastle United being linked to certainly the big stars around Europe. This one in particular is very interesting. Also, some injury news, players that are coming back, and players that are going to be out a little bit longer than first thought. Some interesting news from Liverpool ahead of the huge game at the weekend. And Castore bringing out another limited edition piece of merchandise. But we'll get to that a bit later on. This is the Toon Review Daily News. Hi, everybody. I'm Paul. Welcome back to the Daily News. Callum Wilson. Now, he is he's had a fantastic start to the season, banging in the goals, and then since the World Cup, it's kind of gone a bit dry. And I think everyone will admit that. Even Callum himself probably knows that he hasn't really been firing at 100%. Now, Eddie Howe did mention that he'd suffered a really debilitating illness just after the World Cup, which he lost a lot of weight, he lost a lot of energy, and it's took him a long time to get back to full fitness. Now, speculation going around that it was either, was it COVID that really hit him hard? Because when he came back, he was training separately. So is that a reason why that Callum hasn't been firing all cylinders? But he made a comment in the interview that I found very interesting. He said that in the past, he's been only 80% fit when he's come back from injuries and declared himself fit, only to pull up 20 minutes into the game. Now, that says to me that he's learned a big lesson from that. He can't come back unless he's 100% fit. But I'm just wondering, has this been in Callum Wilson's mind, since he's come back from this illness, when he's running around, is he very aware of his hamstrings? Because I've thought this for a while now, when you get as many hamstring injuries and muscle injuries as Callum Wilson has had, do you start doubting your own body? When we've been watching him lately sprinting, has he been at full pelt? I'm not sure he has. That game against, who was it? When he broke in West Ham, when he was clean through. Normally, Callum would cut in front of the defender. He cut in front of him and disappear with pace. He just seems to just have lost that little half a yard. And is it because in his own mind, he daresn't put the massive pressure on his hamstrings that he's been used to in the past? Of course, we players in the past, the Michael Owens of this world, have lost a yard of pace, 2 yards of pace when their hamstrings start to go because they were always worried about muscle injuries. And is it a case of Callum now starting to feel that? He's at the age now where, he's got to be careful. Sprinting at the pace that Callum Wilson normally does. Is he able to do it anymore? Because he's obviously very aware in his own mind about what might go wrong should he sprint at 100%. And it's not just that. It's when he's running the channels or trying to close down. It just doesn't seem like he's at 100% pace. Now, this might explain why, because obviously he has to nurse his own hamstrings. He knows his own body better than anybody else. And he's got to be careful about what he does with these hamstrings because, as we've seen in the past, they can just snap on him at any time, and he's out for 8 to 10 weeks. And it's something we can't do without at the minute. So I think Callum coming back against Liverpool is big for the club, is big for Newcastle, and it's big for Callum. But is this now starting to embed itself in Callum's head? I hope not. I really hope not. I'm just making a suggestion here that might explain, why he hasn't been at 110% since his turn of the year. That he's starting to just think about his muscles and the muscle problems that he's had in the past. But he also did go on to say that he thinks the current form, that they can play through it and start winning again. Of course, he's made the point of we haven't lost during this little bit of a lull. He's recognised the shortage of goals and things like that, which is good. I think the whole group will probably know that we need more goals and we need to start performing again. But he's also said that we haven't lost, and we're still picking up points, even though the draws. He says they're very aware that they need to change those draws into wins, and he is also responsible for that as a striker. So the players know that they're not at 100% at the minute, form-wise, but I think, going against Liverpool, of course, one of the bigger teams in the Premier League, someone made a point on the show the other night, that we seem to turn up against the much bigger teams and struggle against the smaller teams in the Premier League. Well, this one's a big one, and to get 3 points on Saturday, would be huge going into the cup final, because we have to have a balance here. We have to put the Carabao Cup on the back burner, and I'm sure Eddie will tell the players that. He won't necessarily be telling them to go and take it easy against Liverpool. He will be just looking at this game and thinking, right, we need 3 points in the Premier League, and this is the point where we get it. So hopefully we can turn up on Saturday. Now, Matt Targett should be back in training and should be available for the Carabao Cup final. This weekend comes a little bit too early. Now, we know that Dan Burns' form has been a bit hit or miss, but I'd find it really staggering. I really would, if he was to leave Dan Burn out, especially on the cup final. Now, we've seen ruthless managers in the past, but Dan Burn has been a real star for Newcastle this season, even though his form has dripped at the moment. Are we starting to think that maybe the left-back position isn't his? And we're worried about Salah and pace on Saturday. But Matt Targett, I don't think we'll be expecting to walk straight back into the team either, because remember, when he got injured, he was on the subs bench. He wasn't being picked. Dan Burn had been picked as the left-back for a few games before Matt Targett got injured. So that will be interesting to see what Eddie Howe does with Matt Targett, but it'll be good to have another experienced player back in the squad anyway. As for Joe Willock, it now looks like he's going to be out until at least March. Which is a big shame, because there'd been rumours going around that he would actually make his return on Saturday against Liverpool, which I found incredible given the amount of strapping that he had on his leg. But it looks now as if it's going to be sometime in March, which means he, of course, would miss the cup final. But listen, injuries change all the time. Players respond well to treatment and then suddenly they're back earlier than expected, or they have a little, relapse and they're out for a few more weeks than what they should have been. So you never know with injuries. I mean, for all we know, Joe Willock could be in the team for the Carabao Cup final. Time will tell. Now, a player that has been linked with Newcastle this morning, and this is from various Northeast reports as well, that Pablo Dybala is the latest name to be linked with Newcastle. Now, this one's a weird one, because Dybala's, of course, now playing for Roma and hasn't really lit it up for Roma under Jose Mourinho. Now, whether that's because Dybala can't settle or he just doesn't fit into Mourinho's sort of style of play. However, he only has a release clause of £10.6 million in his contract. So apparently Newcastle are looking at him. They've scouted him a couple of times and are looking at the possibility of bringing in Dybala. What a wonderful signing he would be, by the way, especially for that kind of price. We are apparently the only team that is interested in him at the minute. Manchester United did show brief interest, but they've since moved on to other things. Now, this is exciting this summer coming up. We know it is. We thought the window was going to be exciting in the winter. It hasn't turned out that way. Yes, we brought in Anthony Gordon and Ashby, two very, very good signings. But the real big star names, a lot of people suggested that we're holding off because of FFP and we'll go in for them in the summer, which would be a pretty decent thing to do, I think. So Dybala, another one, along with the names that have already been mentioned, Milinkovic-Savic, James Maddison. This could be a very exciting summer for Newcastle, but I do tend to believe it all depends on where we finish in the league as to what players would be interested in coming. Now, ahead of the game on Saturday, Liverpool have been boosted by the returns of Diego Jota, Roberto Firmino and Virgil van Dijk. Those three were all back on the bench for the Everton game on Monday, and it's felt that, they're all going to start against Newcastle to try and just end this little bit of bad form they're on. Of course, they beat Everton, but they weren't exactly fantastic against Everton. They've had a real lull in form, as have we, to be fair, but Liverpool's has been huge to where they are in the league table at the moment, and I think having them three back is going to be fantastic for them. Jota is a very good striker. Firmino, come in and out of games, but when he's on it, he's on it. And Van Dijk, fabulous central defender. So to have them back is a massive boost for Liverpool. Of course, midfield man Thiago will be missing from the game, and he is a huge player for Liverpool. And finally, Castoria, they've released yet another limited edition shirts. I don't know how many limited edition things they've brought out this season, but it's certainly coming up to double figures, I would have thought. And again, the prices, it ain't cheap, guys. For the warm-up T-shirts, you're looking at 48 quid. And for the training tops, you're looking at 70. I mean, really, the money that they are making through shirts, bringing out limited edition this, limited edition that, it's scandalous. It really is, the price of these shirts. But I mean, will you be getting one? I mean, I think that, they're based on obviously getting us getting to Wembley. That's why they brought them out. So will you be getting one? Let me know in the comments. But there you go. That is it for the Daily News today, guys. Let me know in the comments, as usual, about what you think Callum Wilson's had to say. Do you think that he's got this sort of blockage in his mind about his hamstrings? And is he pushing it 100% when he's on the pitch at the minute? Or do you think that's just normal human nature? Let me know about Dybala. Would you like to see him at Newcastle United? And are you confident moving into the game on Saturday? Let me know down in the comments below. I read them all, so please do let me know, because I'm really interested to know what you guys think out there. But thank you very much for watching. Next live show is tonight. If you're watching this on Thursday, we've got the Newcastle United versus Liverpool preview, so that should be a great show. We've got Doug from the Dugout channel coming on to represent Liverpool for the first half an hour. Let us know his feelings on how he thinks the season's gone for Liverpool, which is probably not very good. But that's on at 8 o'clock tonight. As I say, if you're watching this on Thursday, do hit that like button before you leave the stream, guys. And of course, if you are new to the channel, please do hit the subscribe button. It is free to do so. Almost at 17,400 now, which is fantastic. And that's all down to you guys out there. So thank you very much. And don't forget to hit the notification bell, so that will let you know when we upload, we go live, or we schedule any more live shows. But in the meantime, guys, have a fantastic Thursday, and we'll see you soon. Take care.